BK. Trysta, Krick, bet MGM tonight. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Kenny's doing married things.
Well, that's a odd way of putting it, but I hope that he is. Like
that's where he's at.
That's where he's at. He's doing married things. I actually have no clue where Kenny is. I have no idea. He just said I need next week off. All right, cool. You're getting married this weekend. You deserve it.
Yeah, makes sense. I get it.
Maybe he's trying to figure out where Buddy Hield is being traded to. I'm not sure. That sounds like something he would do.
I wonder if they're going to try to. I think that they will, by the way. I think that Dallas will try to get him. They need 3-point shooting. They need them.
So I saw that earlier. That Dallas was kind of in the conversation for Shavano. And like we were just talking about Rick Carlisle. I'm going to credit Rick Carlisle for the way Buddy Hield played last year. Buddy was a disaster in Sacramento. And we just got done talking about Sean Payton and how horrible he is and how the team quit on him and how you don't quit on someone you support. I don't think Buddy ever had a coach in Sacramento that he supported. And for some reason, I think Rick Carlisle was able to get through to him, and he was able to have arguably, probably not even arguably, his best season as a professional. And I think it's the discipline and the structure that Rick Carlisle provides. I'm sorry. Who's Dallas's coach again?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if Jason Kidd's going to be able to do all that.
Come on, man.
Buddy's just going to be all over the place.
Jason Kidd, what did he say? He's a fan just like us.
He's out there just watching like us.
Just watching. I'm just watching just like you are. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. As a Kings, as someone who covers the Sacramento Kings and a Kings fan, yeah, send Buddy to Dallas. That's a good look. I like that idea.
Where do you think is the best place for him to go? Is it Philly? Nick Nurse instills discipline.
So Nick Nurse works. I feel like Eric Spoelstra works.
Oh yeah, that's a good look. Do they have any athletes?
All I'm thinking about is coaches. I don't even know if he fits any of these rosters. He fits Philadelphia. Like that works, especially given the fact you assume James Harden's probably gained 35 pounds since we saw him last, and he's ready to go. He doesn't fit Miami in any way. But there's to me, if you have to have discipline and structure for Buddy Hield, and with any coach that's disciplined and structured, it will work. Those two words do not describe Jason Kidd
at all.
I even think Buddy would work with Mike Brown. I don't want it, but that's a big difference from Mike Brown. That's a big difference from the last time Buddy was here. Like Mike Brown is here again. Don't want it. Hard pass. No, thank you. But the type of coach, yeah, I think that would work.
Hard passes, right? Yeah. Absolutely not. You can't go back in time and bring some of these guys that there's already enough bad blood. There's already enough frustration. He was out there. People were making full-on low-light reels of him and putting them on King's Twitter. So
I'm pretty confident De'Aaron Fox's ankle hurt until Buddy was traded.
Yep.
It's like the only thing that will heal my ankle and end my dunk strike is trading Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
And all the evidence points to that being 100% accurate. His ankle got better. He played basketball. The next year, his dunk strike ended. Now he's
asking that formally. I'd love James to ask him.
Oh, I'd love James.
James needs to ask.
That's not a James Ham question. That's a D'Lo question. It's not a James Ham question.
But it would be so funny coming from James.
It would be, because it would be so unnatural.
Yeah, it would. That's the reason I'm thinking of too, about the dunk strike. I'm like specifically interested in James asking about the dunk strike.
And James is going to word it like so professionally, and he's going to make it sound like a legitimate question until he gets to the part where
I noticed that statistically there were 0 dunks from the time this date till this date, which corresponded with the time that Buddy Hield was traded. Any reason for that?
It lasted about 14 months, De'Aaron. Just curious. Also, what impact did that trade have on your ankle?
Yeah.
Just asking. Okay. Well, let's do it. We talked to Chris Haynes on Thursday extensively. Yeah, we talked to Chris Haynes for a while, and he spilled all the tea live out there at Sky River Casino. In the 4 days since that conversation, we've got allegedly the Raptors involved now, according to the Hall of Famer Mark Spears. Boston's involved. Orlando is tiptoeing around this thing. There's reports from our Chris Haynes that Portland would really like to get this thing done before training camp starts. What do you believe? What are you buying when it comes to the latest in the Dame Lillard Portland Trailblazers saga?
I buy that Portland doesn't want to do a deal with Miami. Number one.
That seems clear.
That is, I think, solid ground we can stand on.
Yeah.
Not just because they don't have the assets, that Portland doesn't want any of the players that they're willing to give, which doesn't seem like many, that they don't like the picks. And thirdly, and most importantly, it's not because Dame wants to go there that they don't want to trade him to Miami. I think it's everything else. I think it's the way that Miami has handled it. I think that it's the way that Miami fans and Miami media have sort of tried to spin the narrative that there is no other option. You must take exactly what we give you, and there really is no other options for you. So I think that if Portland can do a deal with anyone else that's even slightly better or equal to Miami's deal, they will do that, which I think is funny. Number two, I think Toronto is marginally real because Masai has been known to trade for guys who are not wanting to play for his organization, right? He doesn't care. He knows that Dame, we all know. And the thing that's funny to me is that there are people who are trying to change what Dame's reputation has been for the last decade in hindsight. They're saying, oh, well, Dame will not show up to camp. Dame will hold out. Dame will force his way he will immediately ask for a trade to Miami if he goes to another team. Everything we know about Damian Lillard says that's not true. Everything we've seen, even if you don't know him personally at all, everything that we've seen, everything that we've heard from him publicly would say that that's BS, right? So if you're Masai and you think, well, he's a top 3 guard in the NBA, a position that we've lost and a position we never were really that good at, and I've got a bunch of wings. I'm one of the only teams in the league with a plethora of wings, one of which doesn't even want to play for my team, doesn't like his role, has been publicly telling and privately telling everyone he doesn't want to be here. Then fine. We had him on a team-friendly deal, so we hung on to him. But the truth is he's on an expiring now. So if I can kick the tires on Dame, not give up Scotty Barnes, give up a guy on an expiring, give a couple of first-round picks, maybe marginally, because I can say to them, well, we did turn down 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby to the Memphis Grizzlies just 12 months ago. So he is certainly worth at least 2. So we'll give you 2, and then you can get the other 2 for OG, and we'll give you Grady Dick and some sort of salary match.
Now, those headlines were a bit wild yesterday.
What was that?
The Grady Dick headlines.
Yo, yeah, those were wild. Yeah, those were crazy. And then I think that's real. I know it was like
Trysta Krick reading. Trysta Krick reading Grady Dick headlines would be just a
delight.
Stunningly great NBA segment. Just so good.
I think that's real. Whether or not Portland and Toronto figure that out, who knows? I think Portland would love to have a wing like Grady Dick. He's tall. People don't realize he's 6'8". He's not just, some average 3-and-D shooter. He's young. He's on the timeline. He can do a bunch of different things. And I think if you have somebody like Scoot with him who can get him the ball in his spots, he could be very, very good. And he's cheap. I don't know what the deal is with OG. I don't think he wants to be in Portland, and it's not because Portland is hijacking this Dame thing. So whoever thinks that, I think they're dumb. I don't think other players are, I will not re-sign with Portland because of them holding up a Dame trade.
Literally, it's one of the dumbest narratives surrounding this whole thing.
They're now, people are online being crazy, being like, Portland has a plantation culture.
Jesus Christ.
I'm
I
like,
just
bro.
love I just love the idea of a high end Anthony Edwards sitting around. I was gonna sign with Portland, but after this, oh, no chance.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of calling Portland a plantation culture when Dame is making 60 M's a year in his mid-30s is
I've learned,
wild.
particularly from the intellectual likes of Draymond Green. People like him have reminded me. I think a lot of people don't actually know what slavery was. Thus, they don't know what a plantation is. Like when Draymond made the comp, like in 2020, it's like, sir, I don't think you're familiar with the slavery process. I
Yeah,
don't think you got a grasp of how this or plantations work because there is nothing in athletics, there's nothing in life that mimics that. So just retire that from your intellectual process here.
yeah. I mean, every facet of it, we just bore listeners and just go down the facet, and we just won't. But every piece from origin, from beginning to end, doesn't match. So I do think Portland could use OG Anunoby though, and I think they've wanted OG
Mhm,
Anunoby,
mhm.
and I think they wanted him with Dame. OG's not that old. He plays 3, and Jeremy Grant plays 4, and so if you have Scoot and them, I think you've got a pretty good defensive team, especially if you figure out your center position, right? Whether he resigns, I think you have to work out ahead of time. And if he's not planning to resign and you don't have the wink, wink, nudge deal done like you did with Jeremy Grant when you traded for him, then you move him to a contender immediately. So I think that's real. I think that Orlando is not real,
Yeah.
besides like just them being like, oh, I'd like Dame.
Yeah.
You know,
We're
but
in
like,
Florida. It
is there a
works.
team? Exactly. We're Miami adjacent, you
Yeah.
know? He
Yeah.
doesn't have to pay he doesn't have to pay income tax here either. But they have so many guards. They have Anthony Black, they've got Jed Howard, they've got Markel Fultz, they've got Jalen Suggs, they've got Cole Anthony. So do they need another guard? I don't think so. I don't know how they get rid of the guards that they do have without, selling them off for pennies on the dollar. Chicago doesn't make sense at all to me because they don't have anything that Portland would want that's on the timeline. Yeah, like could you theoretically want a DeMar DeRozan? Yeah, but like only if you're a team that's actually contending. And I don't think Portland's in the business of being a reseller. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not playing eBay or StockX where like I'm gonna buy these shoes off of sneakers and then I'm gonna flip them. I think they want the cash, which are the
Yeah.
picks, right? I don't want, except for OG. I think OG is different, but it's like I don't want Tyler Hero that you tell me is worth 2 first round picks, but then I later find out is only worth 1 first round pick and not a very good one. I want you to determine what he's worth and then come to me when you tell me. Like, I want the cash. I want the 2
It
first.
actually fits the StockX model perfectly, given the fact I'm pretty sure they sell UAs.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
almost positive they're selling UAs, but that's fine. But I get your original point.
Yeah. So I don't think Chicago's real. I like the idea of Oklahoma City, but I don't think that's very real either.
I have to close the chat because I just looked at Brian Cruz talking about Grady Dick and how you can slide him in and out of any lineup. I just can't, like, I'm closing all of this. I can't deal with that group over there. They're a lot, Trysta. They're a lot. You think it gets done in the next couple days?
Part of me thinks no. Like
Yeah,
probably
I'm with you. I'm not buying it either.
I think it's a trade deadline thing. You know?
Wow.
I think it's a
Okay.
trade deadline thing. I think it's a Kevin Durant type of a thing where you're just waiting for a contender to say, "I give up." Okay, yes, we'll do the deal.
You
That's when the
you
leverage is highest, I think.
you tweeted something. I think it was yesterday or the day before, but I didn't know. I thought you might be podding. You think the Heat are a lottery team without Dame?
Yes.
I don't hate it, but that feels extreme given
Okay.
they did go to the NBA Finals.
Let's talk about the origins of the 2023 NBA Finals team that was the Miami Heat.
Let's do it.
So you've got a busted down Kyle Lowry. We know that, right? We're all aware that 38-year-old Kyle Lowry is not good anymore. He's
Or
not
out
an
a little
effective point guard. And what you did was you kind of held him on ice for the entire year. Personal issues, tea times, physical therapy, whatever it was, who knows? But he was like in and out, very much in and out. There were months I didn't see or hear from Kyle Lowry. And who did you have in there to replace him? You had Gabe Vincent, right? And Gabe Vincent's fine player, and he did a great job for them in the playoffs and otherwise. Gabe Vincent's gone. He doesn't exist anymore for the Miami Heat. And they haven't replaced him unless you include the Josh Richardson signing, which is bonkers. Okay, so you've got Kyle Lowry is now your starting point guard. You've got Tyler Hero as your 2, fine. Bam is there as your 4. Jimmy's your 3. Maybe Bam's your 5. And then Kevin Love. Okay, this is the team that you've got. And then your depth in Max Strus is also gone. So you're rocking with like hoping Nikola Jovic ends up being something. You're hoping that Jaime Jaquez contributes right away. You're hoping no one in your starting core gets injured at all. Jimmy Butler's getting up there in age. Kyle Lowry is not a starting caliber point guard. This guy is not in shape. We know that. I don't know who's starting in his place. Okay, the 2023 Heat team were a 7 seed that lost in their first game of the play-in tournament to the Atlanta Hawks, who were a dumpster fire, and were down almost 10 in the second play-in game to the Chicago Bulls. Let's not act like their run was a buzzsaw. It was rough. So to think that without Strus, without Vincent, and having to play Kyle Lowry that whole time, that you could potentially be a 10 seed or an 11 seed, or maybe you're in the bottom end of the play-in and you get bounced, that's a lottery team.
I don't hate it. And the reason I don't hate it is because I, in words I never thought I'd utter, sided with Paul Pierce when he said the Heat are going to get eliminated in the first round with Dame Lillard. It doesn't matter what they do. And at first it was like, oh, Paul Pierce podding again. And it was like, wait a minute. I think Paul Pierce is right. I don't think this Miami team is all of a sudden, like when you look at Boston, like Boston is a name that emerged recently. Toronto, I can't quite figure out exactly what they are. Boston, Porzingis isn't involved. Jalen and Tatum aren't involved. So you're adding Dame Lillard to that. That is Dame Lillard's best opportunity to win an NBA championship.
For sure.
Right here. It's not with Miami. I don't think it's with Philadelphia, but Philadelphia, I can't quite picture what it would look like. In Toronto, I can't figure out how it all comes together. It doesn't mean it's not with Toronto. I just think a lot would ride on Pascal Siakam, the development of Scotty Barnes, which has obviously been there so far. And then you need Dame to be, as elite as he was last year.
Oh, for sure. So to me, it feels like Miami's very desperate and they know they need to figure something out. They thought they could get Brad Beal. They just kind of stayed out of the Brad Beal sweepstakes because they thought that they could get Dame because they're arrogant. And they thought that they could get Dame at a discount because they're arrogant. And they thought that the market was nil for Dame. And now what happens if they don't get him? They're a worse team than they were as a set, and they were a 7 seed last year. So how much worse? Well, you lost 2 starting players. So you lost 40% of your starting lineup, and you were a 7 seed last year. I don't think it's that crazy.
No, I don't think it is either. Did you happen to catch your boy? I'm sure you did. I'm sure you were watching the live stream, assuming there was one closely, with Steve Kerr and Mike Dunleavy Jr. yesterday. And Steve Kerr said he's got 6 starters on the Golden State Warriors. And Mike Dunleavy said, oh, there's no timetable for Kerr and Clay extensions. There was a lot to take away from those guys speaking yesterday for the Golden State Warriors. How do you see their season going?
Our Dubs.
Dubs.
Very, very interesting times for our Dubs. I think you had Rodney. You forgot to put in the Rodney Magruder ad.
I did forget that. Yep. Good
Which
close
I think
personal friend of Klay Thompson, I believe.
Klay and Draymond both love Rodney so much that they call him terms of endearment like bitch.
Yeah.
I always call my friends bitches all the time. I mean, I call
Yeah.
my own mom a bitch. So hey, I mean, that's just like what we do to our like very, very close personal friends. I think in general, the Warriors are playing some sort of game. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's
How many people can Draymond punch in the face before the NBA gets involved?
how many people can we add to the team that Draymond does not like before training camp starts? I don't know what to make of the roster at all. As you know, Chris Paul plays slow, the Warriors play fast. So I'm not sure how that works. If Chris Paul is a starter, also 6, you can't have 6 starters. Unfortunately, that's just not how the game works.
Not legal.
Not legal. I think that's a technical foul. I think you get teed up for that one. So who doesn't start? Is it Kevon Looney? Is Kevon Looney a first man off the bench? That's a small team. So it's Chris Paul 1, Steph Curry 2, Klay 3, Andrew Wiggins 4, and Draymond as the 5.
Yep.
Good night. Good night. I hate that for us, you know?
I love it personally as someone in Sacramento going to do that. I just love the idea. This Chris Paul Warriors thing isn't going to work out. It's not.
No.
Like, there's no way this is like Chris Paul, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. It's not going to work. Steve Kerr is going to pretend like he's doing everything he can to make it work. And ultimately, he's going to side with Draymond, Klay, and Chris Paul will be traded by February.
Why don't they move him to Boston? Why don't they try to get Malcolm Brogdon and like Time Lord or something? Because to me, it feels like Chris Paul.
Brad Stevens would want that.
To me, it feels like they need a table center, right? You've got 2 wings that have never really had a true point guard on their team. They've had these weird combo guards. And Chris Paul, listen, we know he's washed come playoffs. But you still have Derek White. It just fit-wise, where does he go? You know? In order for him to be traded by the deadline, there has to be a place for him to arrive. And if they traded Jordan Poole for nothing, then that means Tyler Hero is worth the same. Jordan Poole is a champion. I think Jordan Poole and Tyler Hero are like same guy.
Okay.
So you just
only one of them has been punched though and ruined the vibes of last year by getting
facts. No, facts. But I mean, like, so
if Jimmy just hauled off and hit Tyler Hero, they'd be identical.
If he didn't get punched, how many first round picks is Jordan Poole worth it?
Oh, a lot. Like, yeah, he's absolutely tainted because the Warriors and their whole franchise did everything to destroy his name last year. Yeah,
it's a rough beat for Jordan Poole.
Yeah, and it's why like the Warriors are trash for it. Like that shouldn't be. The Warriors are funny, and it like when you win, you don't get looked at as you're funny. But like I appreciate Steve Kerr and I respect Steve Kerr, and he steps out and he talks about things and he talks about gun violence and he talks about equality and he talks about all of these different things. You know, there's a marquee franchise in the NBA that's never hired a woman, and that's the Golden State Warriors. You've also got this dude, Draymond Green, who not only punches a teammate in the face, you don't punish him for it, even though you suspended him for cussing at Kevin Durant. He hurt Kevin Durant's feelings a couple of years ago, so you suspended him for a game. But not only does he punch Jordan Poole, he won't stop talking about it. He won't stop talking about it on television. He won't stop talking about it on his podcast. He won't stop talking about it to Anthony Slater and to the rest of the crew that covers him. And at no point did Steve Kerr or Bob Myers or anybody say, hey, let's shut this thing down. Stop. Let's try to get this thing back on track and go win a championship. That team is funny. They move funny, and I'm watching Jordan Poole very, very closely this year. I hope he excels, but if he doesn't, it's going to be really hard for me to not look at the Golden State Warriors and what they did to that young man's career.
Yeah, I mean, they could have broken him. That's absolutely.
And I don't think they did, but I'll be watching.
When we saw his eyes when he was first in that Wizards uniform.
Oh,
And you're like,
man.
that was
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
like Lawrence in season 1 of Insecure.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a tough beat for Lawrence. That's a tough look for my man Lawrence and Jordan Poole. That's
Just
tough.
in sweatpants, like no
We need
product in the hair.
we need season 6 Lawrence for Jordan Poole.
Yes, we do. Where you're like, wow, glow ups here. He's got it all together. He's happy. His skin is clear. His eyes look bright. No, Jordan Poole looks like a man who has PTSD. You know, he's like a beaten man.
Where you at with our Kings? Our Kings.
Where am I at? Same
Yeah,
place
are
I'm
you-
always at. Same
Warm me
place
up
I'm
on the
always
beam,
at.
baby.
We're light. I mean, we're warming. We're staying warm.
Well, because you know the consensus now that we're getting closer to the start of the
Oh yeah,
season.
you're gonna fall off.
Oh, they're gonna fall off. Like
Yeah.
like what happened last year wasn't real. It was all fake.
It was all just a dream. It's all you're gonna get injury regression. There's
Yes,
you know
'cause
what
they were too
happened.
healthy.
Even though Sabonis could have had season-ending surgery, we just totally forget that part. The fact that he wasn't healthy the entire year. Your marquee center, who just about averaged a triple-double, but he was totally healthy. I mean, you've got De'Aaron Fox coming off of an injury. I think there's just more upside
In the
to go.
playoffs.
In
He
the
was
playoffs.
injured in the playoffs.
Come on. If he doesn't hurt that finger, everything's different. I think.
A lot of people agree. I'll give the Warriors credit. They got the job done. I mean, that's tough. Our dubs.
Our dubs.
Our dubs.
Championship DNA. Gold-blooded. Gold-blooded. No, I'm right there, bro. I'm in the same place I was.
It's the Rick James thing for me. That hits perfectly every time. Every time. Pause. That's perfect.
So yeah, I think this is still a top 3 team in the West. I think they added. Go ahead.
Domas is so like universally disrespected. Like he's barely even mentioned in these conversations. It's like De'Aaron, which is dope. Like great. De'Aaron clearly is that dude. Of course, most of them are saying, well, De'Aaron's not going to do what he did last year. That's crazy. But it's like you don't even reference that there was a second All-NBA player on the team who played virtually the entire season with a broken hand.
And I'm sure that was not meaningful, right? In terms of his production. He just didn't want to shoot from the elbow at all. There was a timidness to him in certain spots on the court that I hope that now that he's fully healthy, that will just go away. We saw Domas hitting threes as an Indiana Pacer a lot. That was something that he did in Gonzaga as well. So I think that his production only goes up, but more so, I'm right there with Keegan Murray's development. I think he's going to be a beast this year. I think people don't even know what's coming. What we saw from him in the final couple of games of the playoff series, I think he's going to do on a night-to-night basis. And if that's the case, like this team could be number 1 in the West in terms of standings.
You know what fun little rumbling is going on too is I think people have really started to buy into Sasha a little bit. I think now that they've seen him more, now that they've heard him talk, now that they've heard coaches and players gush over him, I think people are starting to wonder if he's going to be starting by the end of the season and Harrison Barnes is going to be the one coming off the bench. It's
a great question. We will have to see. I need to see him play with my physical eyeballs in an NBA setting.
Right.
I'm reserving all judgment, but I'm also, I'd love that. That would be a really great problem to have.
Oh, it'd be incredible. Oh, it'd be absolutely incredible if that actually became a conversation that he's playing well enough to do that. Hopefully, I don't think it's ever going to be a conversation where Harrison is so bad, you've got to do this. I think it's going to be a conversation of how well Sasha Vezenkov is playing.
I also think what's a low-key move that's not being talked about, and he had not a great year last year with Dallas, so I get why people are reluctant to be excited about him. But JaVale McGee's a very good player.
Oh, absolutely.
JaVale McGee, I've watched JaVale McGee unchained when he's playing in Drew League. The guy is a freak athletically. And was one of the best pick and roll players in the league 2 years ago. I think he was the best roller in the league in terms of efficiency, in terms of total points, all of that. So, I mean, if you want to talk about pick and roll, like off the bench, or if you need size instead of, say, an Alex Len, JaVale McGee's, the Warriors are probably not happy with the Kings having JaVale McGee. They know how valuable he can be.
Yeah, that was a terrific pickup. We're super in on the JaVale McGee pickup. Trysta, we always appreciate you. You are queen of the accessories. That necklace looks like it weighs about 20 pounds, but it looks amazing.
Oh, it's pretty light.
Is it one necklace or like 12?
It's 2.
So for those that are watching, you recognize how amazing that is. That's only 2 necklaces.
Yeah, you've got this piece here and these and then this. So this is all one here.
It's tremendous.
It's all one. It's all one. There we go.
I love it. All right. Queen of the accessories, Trysta Krick. We appreciate you as always.